No, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Hare
remember
Krishna,
anything?
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. These four things only, Prabhu. The Supreme Controller, Supreme Enjoyer.
Yeah. And we
The,
discussed how faith on God varies in this material world. Different people can have different types of faith. Some people, and we discussed that story, right? Story of a Brahmana and cobbler. Narada Muni asks the, the Brahmana and cobbler. They both ask Narada Muni, "Can you ask God when will I go back to spiritual world?" Then Narada Muni goes to Mahavishnu and asks, when will these two people, the Brahmana and cobbler, come back to spiritual world? Then Mahavishnu says, the cobbler will come back to spiritual world in this lifetime, whereas the Brahmana will take several lifetimes. The Brahmana is supposed to be a learned person, right? So he must be worshipping God and he's a learned person. It's highly possible that the Brahmana is able to go to spiritual world in this lifetime, whereas the cobbler, who is a Shudra, who is not so learned, he takes several lifetimes to go back to spiritual world. But it's not because of what you do, and it's not because of which caste you belong to. It's based on the faith a person has. So the cobbler, even though he's not a learned person, but he has strong faith on God. That's why Mahavishnu said, Mahavishnu told Narada Muni that cobbler will come to spiritual world in this lifetime. And when Narada Muni comes back to the material world and tells the cobbler and Brahmana that this is what Mahavishnu told me, that, O cobbler, you will go back to spiritual world in this lifetime. And whereas Brahmana, Mahavishnu told that you will take several lifetimes. Then they respond differently. We discussed all that story. Okay? So it's basically faith. Different people have different types of faith on God. Okay? Now, definition of God. So when your definition of God we discussed, right? Yeah. So now we know that God exists, and we know the definition of God. We know that there are different types of faith on God. Now, how do we know about Him? How do we know about God? We know the definition of God, but how do we know about Him? How does He look like, or where does He exist? How does the spiritual world look like? Huh? What does God do in the spiritual world? All these things, right? So, how do we know? Vedas. Okay. So for anything, so that's the topic of our discussion today. How do we know God? Okay, so this is what we discussed so far. So how do we know Him? Now, to acquire any knowledge in our life, there are different ways. There are different methods to acquire knowledge. And the different methods to acquire knowledge are collectively known as epistemology. Epistemology, it's a word which means methods to acquire knowledge. Okay, so how do we gain knowledge about various things in life? It's called epistemology. Okay, so let us see what are the different methods to acquire knowledge. The first one is pratyaksha praman. Okay, pratyaksha praman. Praman means method basically. Okay, this is one of the methods. This is the first method to acquire knowledge. Pratyaksha. Aksha means what? What we can see with the eye. Aksha means eye. Okay, so pratyaksha praman means sense perception. So you acquire knowledge by sense perception. For example, when you see something, you gain some knowledge. When you see, for example, this wall, Okay, so this wall is in a rectangular shape, and the color of the paint is beige color or cream color something. When you see a garland like that, okay, you can gain some knowledge. There are different colors: green, red, white, yellow, and so on. So when you see with your eyes, you acquire some knowledge about an object. That is pratyaksha praman. And it's not only limited to the eyes, but all the five senses. That's why it is sense perception. When you hear something, you acquire some knowledge. When you taste something, you acquire knowledge. When you touch something, you know that it is soft or hard. Huh? And uh, uh, based on whether it is soft or hard, you can try to guess what it is. Okay, so basically you using your five senses, you acquire knowledge. That's why the senses are called knowledge acquiring senses, jnanendriyas. You use your five senses. Okay, first of all, do we know what are the five senses? Okay, who can tell what are the five senses? Vision. Okay, hear, smell, touch, taste. Taste. Yeah, very good, very good. So five different senses. There are five different senses and five different sense objects. Okay. Uh, so this is the first method, pratyaksha praman, sense perception. Now so we just discussed that pratyaksha praman means when you see something, you acquire some knowledge. Now let's see if we are able to acquire some knowledge by looking at this picture here. So what do you know from this picture? When you look at this picture, what kind of knowledge that you acquired? Yes. Hmm?
There are some faces in the picture.
There are some faces. Oh, I thought it's a tree. Huh? What? Faces. Three faces? Three faces. Okay. Okay, so he sees three faces. What else do you see? Huh? Seven. Okay. 8. 3, 7, 8. How many do you see? 6. Okay. 8. Okay. Okay, at a first glance, it just looks like a tree with some branches. And then after careful look, you start seeing the faces. And then you start counting the faces. Okay, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 actually. Did anyone get 9? Huh? 8. 9. Yes. Okay. So now what does this experiment tell us? Hmm?
Everybody is seeing the different picture, like the same picture with the different meanings and something.
Yeah, but we all have the same eyes. We all have the same eyes. So we should be able to see the same thing, right? When we look at this object or this picture here, we should acquire the same knowledge.
Perception and a vision matters, like the understanding of different things.
Yeah.
Like the same thing in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That matters like in this case.
Okay. Anyone else?
Illusions can be seen. Optical illusion.
Illusion. Okay. Very good.
The other thing is you should have some prior knowledge of those faces in order to even discern those faces. You
Yeah.
need to know either that there is something called as a face,
Yeah.
or you need to know the face of that person
Yeah.
in order to even perceive it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another good point. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Neha.
So one more thing is, senses are always not perfect. Senses
Are not
can
perfect.
deceive us.
Yeah, very good. Senses are not perfect. And he said illusion. Huh? So our senses have some limitations. Senses are not perfect. They have limitations. There are many things that we cannot see with our own eyes. There are many things that we cannot hear with our ears. Uh, there are many things that we cannot hear, but animals can hear. Huh? There are many things that we cannot smell, but animals can smell. There are certain things that we cannot smell, but animals can smell. So different people have different auditory ranges. Different people have different uh, uh, different ranges of vision. uh, Different people have different variations of smell. Uh, so not every person sees the same picture and acquires the same knowledge. The perception is not the same. Okay, because our senses are limited. They are limited and they are not perfect. So two things: they are not that they are limited. Senses, the ability of the senses is limited, and they are not perfect. Okay, for example, so with our ears we cannot hear infrasonic and ultrasonic sounds, whereas animals like dogs can hear. Hmm? And snakes. So what's the specialty of snake? Sorry, dogs smell, right? Yeah, dogs smell. Yeah. So snakes, what's the specialty of snakes? Hearing. Yeah. uh, and even bats also have a great ability of hearing. So like that, different animals have different abilities and different ranges of the senses. So we have the scriptures say that we have 4 defects. So what are the 4 defects? Our senses are imperfect, they are illusion, we tend to make mistakes, and we have cheating propensity. So these are the 4 defects. Human beings have 4 defects: imperfect senses, illusion, commit mistakes, cheating propensity. So imperfect senses we just discussed now. So some people counted 3, some people counted 6, some people counted 7, 8, 9, and so on. Okay, illusioned. So sometimes it looks like a tree, sometimes it looks like some different faces on the branches of the tree. Commit mistakes. To err is human, right? To err is human. We commit so many mistakes every day, in every walk of our life. We commit so many mistakes. So illusioned. So illusion, for example, when you're traveling in a desert, so all of a sudden, from a far distance, you will start seeing as if there is water. Okay, but we all know that in desert there's no water. But if you look from far distance, you will see as if there is water existing. It's a mirage. You heard of the word mirage, right? So mirage makes you think that there is water in far away distance. So that's illusion. Cheating propensity. So this we know very clearly. Huh? So everybody, almost all of us have this cheating propensity. Knowingly or unknowingly, we cheat each other. Now, because of these 4 limitations, we conclude that senses are imperfect, or the sense perfection is imperfect. So any knowledge that you acquire using this first method of pratyaksha praman, sense perception, is not perfect. It's only partial. It's partially correct. When somebody said there are only 3 faces, yes, there are 3 faces, but there are more. So that person is partially correct. Okay? But it's imperfect knowledge. Now let's look at the second method of acquiring knowledge, that is anuman praman, speculative method of acquiring knowledge. Speculative method, anuman praman. Okay. So based on prior knowledge, there are two things, right? Anuman Praman means you acquire knowledge in two ways. One is when you see something, you apply some knowledge that you have from past incidents, and you try to interpret something from that situation. For example, you're driving your car, okay, on 405, and suddenly you see big smoke coming out from little distance away from you. Then what are the possible things that you will think? Fire, okay. What else?
There's a factory.
There's a factory, okay. A crash, okay. Now, how we are able to come up with these possible reasons for that smoke? Based on prior knowledge, okay. Based on prior knowledge, you acquire some knowledge about the current situation. So this is speculative. Now, another way of acquiring knowledge using Anuman Praman is you don't have prior knowledge about a situation or about a thing, but you just speculate. Maybe this is like this. Maybe this is like that. Huh? So scientists, all the theories that the scientists propose, they are purely based on speculative analysis, hypothesis. Yeah. So all the mathematical formulas and scientific, experiments, they start with a hypothesis, speculative method. Okay. Maybe this is like that. Okay, let's experiment and prove whether it is correct or not. Okay. And you apply logic or analytical understanding to acquire knowledge. So, for example, there is a picture of a big elephant here. Now, let's say there are some blind men uh, who happen to touch this elephant. Okay, they are just walking by, and then they happen to touch this elephant. Now they are trying to figure out what it is. It's a gigantic elephant, okay, and they're trying to figure out what this object is because they cannot see. Now, yeah.
The trunk, like they could touch the trunk and then they could see if it's an elephant. Because there's no other animal that doesn't have a trunk except the elephant.
Yeah. So even if they touch the trunk, because they cannot see, they don't know for sure whether it is elephant's trunk or not. Because trunk is hard, right? So they can think that it is something else. For example, when they touch the rope, they can think that it's a snake, okay, or it's a rope. I mean the tail of the elephant. When they touch the tail of the elephant, they can very well think that it's a rope or a snake. And this man who is touching the belly or the body of the elephant, he can very well think that it could be a wall. It could be a wall. The person who is touching the big ears of the elephant, he can think that it's some fan, okay. And a person who is holding the, what do you call that? The trunk, tusk or trunk. They can think of those tusks and trunk as something else. And the legs, the people who are holding the legs, they can think that those are the branches or the what do you call that? The trunk. Trunk of a tree. The trunk of a tree. Yeah, the pillars. So it's possible to apply some logic and analysis, and by speculative method of learning, they can try to imagine what this object can be. Okay. Now, are they right or wrong? These blind people who are applying their logic and analysis to try to understand what this object is, are they right or wrong in their analysis?
From their point of view, they are right. From their
From their point of view, they are right. Yes. So they're partially right and partially wrong. Okay, based on what they perceive, they are right. A person who is holding the huge body of the elephant and he's thinking that it's a wall, yeah, he's partially right. Okay, it's not a perfect understanding, but he's partially right because that's how the wall looks like. It's so big and it's hard. But it's imperfect. So any knowledge that you acquire using speculative analysis is wrong. Okay.
Is it, so is it wrong, or it can be wrong in many circumstances? Like in our day-to-day office, we are doing machine learning, and
Yeah.
those are all basically speculative knowledge learning systems only. Like
Yeah.
you're using prior knowledge
Yeah.
to make a prediction
Yeah.
about something.
Mhm.
It is not 100% correct,
Yeah.
but it is like 80% correct or 70% correct. So
Yes.
there is a chance it can be wrong. But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
might not
It's
be.
imperfect. Yeah. It's partially correct. Okay. It's partially correct, but it's imperfect. Yeah. Now, for example, let's say you ask AI to generate an image of Lord Ramachandra. Okay. Now it can generate a modern contemporary looking picture of Lord Ramachandra, but that's not how he looks. Okay, we have seen those very classy and beautiful pictures of AI. Okay, so they're not correct. So last week my daughter sent me a picture. Dad, I asked AI to generate a picture of me, picture of you, and picture of Amma, and then she sent those three pictures. They are nowhere near our faces, right? So partially correct. Okay, that picture also has two eyes, 2 ears, and face, but it's not 100% correct. Okay, now the third method of acquiring knowledge is Shabda Praman. Okay, Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means sound. Okay, the first method is Pratyaksha Praman. Pratyaksha means senses. Second method, Anuman Praman, speculative. Third method, Shabda Praman, sound. You learn through the sound. Now, which sound is this? It's the sound or word coming from Vedas. Sound or word from Vedas. That is hearing from authority. So this is the third method of acquiring knowledge. That is hearing from authority. What's the first method? Sense perception. Second method, speculative method, logic or analytical understanding. Third method, hearing from authority. Now let's see if this method is perfect. Okay, the Shabda Praman or hearing from authority. This is the third alternative, but let's see if this is perfect or not. Now, a newborn baby, after 1 year or 2 years, so let's say the father is in military. Okay, the child has not seen the father immediately after the baby was born. Now, after 2 years, if the child wants to know who is the father, what's the best method? Asking the mom. Okay, that's the authority. Asking the mom. Now, what's the other method of knowing who is the father? What's that? Oh, father himself telling. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, very good. Now, what's the third method of knowing who is the father? But even if the father comes and tells, what's the guarantee, or how do I believe? How does the child believe? DNA test. Huh? Huh? Yeah. Yes. So But if somebody is so bent up with logic and analytical understanding, scientific reasoning, all those things, they can very well do DNA testing. Yeah? So, but how much time they have to spend to do DNA analysis and conclude that whether so and so person is actually the father or not, and what's the guarantee? Yeah? So that's why the best method is asking the mother and knowing who is the father. Okay. Similarly, when we want to know God, we ask the scriptures. Scriptures are like our mothers. We ask the scriptures. All these questions: who am I? What is matter? What is spirit? What is the purpose of my existence? So, unless you hear these from an authority, unless we hear these from an authority, it can be speculative analysis only. Who is God means, if you ask people in India, who is God, you will hear 1,000 different answers. Somebody will say God is light, somebody will say God is some supernatural power, somebody will say God is nothing, somebody will say God is this or that. You will hear 1,000 reasons from different people. This is all speculative analysis. Okay? But the best method to know who is God is learn from scriptures, hear from scriptures. Shabda Praman. You accept an authority and learn from the authority. Just like how you learn about the father from the mother, you accept scriptures as your authority, are a representative of scriptures, a guru. A guru who is exactly speaking what is mentioned in the scriptures. You accept a guru as an authority and learn from guru. Who am I? What is matter? What is spirit? All these questions. So that is Vedas. So there are two systems of gaining knowledge: inductive and deductive. Aroha and Avaroha. Aroha Paddhati and Avaroha Paddhati. Ascending or descending method of acquiring knowledge. So inductive method of knowledge is ascending, and deductive method of knowledge is descending. So what scientists do is inductive method of acquiring knowledge. They start with something and then they evolve into a bigger thing. They start with a small speculation and then evolve into a bigger thing. That's inductive analysis. Inductive, ascending or Aroha Paddhati. Now, on the contrary, deductive or descending method of acquiring knowledge, Avaroha Paddhati is you accept an authority and hear from them. Okay, like how it is shown in the picture. There are different sages, saintly people who are trying to learn about something, and they have accepted an authority who is sitting in the Vyasasan, in that nice seat there, and he is telling based on his realization, he is imparting the knowledge, and other saintly people, they are learning. So this is the best method of acquiring knowledge. And we'll see why this is the best method of acquiring knowledge. Why the deductive method or descending method, Shabda Praman, why it is the best method to acquire knowledge. Because in this life, there are many things that we cannot know by our own attempts. As we discussed, our senses are so imperfect. There are so many challenges, so many limitations. We cannot acquire knowledge about many things in this life. Now, whenever you try to figure out something, there are so many doubts. Life is full of dualities, and there are so many doubts. When you start acquiring knowledge about anything, there are 1,000 questions. Now, who is there to answer? Okay. Now, in the previous picture, the ant. If the ant is trying to know about the whereabouts of the ant, the whereabouts of the ant means who am I, where am I existing now, and where do I go from here? Okay, let's say an ant is kept in this box, for example. Okay, and the box is the lid is closed. Now, if the ant is trying to figure out by his or her own attempts to know who am I, where am I existing, how do I go from here, how do I escape from here, how do I get food, the ant can never know. By his or her own attempt, ant can never know. Okay. Now, if we are not able to learn about smaller things in this material world, okay, compared to spiritual world, everything in the material world is small, right? So God is Vibhu and we are Anu. God is infinitesimal and we are minute. We are minute. So we are minute and everything in the material world is minute when compared to spiritual world. Now, using our senses, using our logic and speculative analysis, we are not able to acquire knowledge about many things in this material world. Now, what to speak of acquiring knowledge about God? Definitely, using our senses, using our logic, speculative analysis, we cannot know about God. Okay? What scientists are trying to do, right? God particle. Okay, they are spending so much money in quantum physics as a method to explain the origin of this universe and origin of life in this universe, and they're calling the origin of this universe as a small particle, and they're calling it as God particle. Okay, so all those attempts are very, very futile. They can never know. Even though you might hear saying that one day science will uh, will tell us about God. Okay, but that will never happen. Science can never tell us about God. Okay. So what's the alternative that we have? Now, give a chance to Vedas. Give a chance to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Vedas. Now we don't have time to read all the Vedas. To read and learn Vedas, you need to learn Sanskrit. It takes 12 years to learn Sanskrit. And after spending 12 years to learn Sanskrit, now you will spend, you'll spend at least 4 or 5 lifetimes to read and understand Vedas. We don't have that much time. Okay? That's why Bhagavad Gita is an essence of all the Vedas. Sarvopanishado gavo dogda gopala nandanaha partho vatsa sudhir bhogta dugdam gitamritam mahat. Okay? Sarvopanishado gavo. All the Upanishads, including Bhagavad Gita, they are considered like cows. Dogda gopala nandanaha. Who is Gopal Nandana? Krishna. Dogda Gopala Nandana. Krishna is that cowherd boy who is milking the cow. Who is milking the cow. Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. Partha is Arjuna. Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. Arjuna is like calf. Arjuna is like the calf who drinks the milk from the cow. Krishna is milking the cow and Arjuna is like the calf who drinks milk from the cow. Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. So this Gitamritam, the message in the Bhagavad Gita is considered as nectarian milk that Lord Sri Krishna himself milked from the cow. And we are all like Arjuna, who are ready and eager to drink milk from this cow. Okay. Now, how do we learn what is there in Bhagavad Gita? It's not like you just open the Bhagavad Gita book and start reading and you will understand everything. Okay. So Lord Krishna himself given a method in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, shloka number 34. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So Krishna said, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. That means Guru. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge onto you because they have seen the truth. So the self-realized people or the gurus, they have seen the truth. They have seen, they have the self-realization of who they are, and they have, sometimes the acharyas, the saintly people, they can see God face to face. There are many incidents where saintly people have talked to the deities. Okay. So because they have seen the truth, they can impart this knowledge to all of us. So the best method to acquire this knowledge is approach a bona fide guru, approach a spiritual master and inquire from him submissively. Now when we meet a guru, we should not apply our logic, reasoning and speculative analysis. We should not try to ask questions based on our own understanding. We should ask very submissively. We should not ask like in a challenging mood or in an argumentative mood. We should ask submissively. Then you will be able to receive. Rather, if you go to a guru with a challenging and argumentative mood, you cannot learn the truth. And you have to render some service also. You have to please the guru by rendering some service. It can be as simple as buying some fruits and bringing and offering to the guru. That can be a service. Or it can be taking care of the daily needs of the guru. Various ways of rendering service to the guru. So you render service to the guru and then inquire submissively. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Now, what's the advantage of this method of acquiring knowledge, the Shabda Praman, or accepting an authority to learn something? The first thing is it saves time. It saves time and it's very convenient. And other than this, what are the other options that we have? We'll get authentic knowledge. Yes, we'll get authentic knowledge. Now, in the absence of the Shabda Praman, what are the other options that we have? Now, we have seen that Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, they are imperfect. So, other than Shabda Praman, there is nothing else for us to acquire knowledge about God. So, this is our best choice, or in fact, this is the one and only one choice that we have. This is the one and only one choice that we have. Now, how do we know if a particular guru, or how do we know if a particular scripture is correct? Okay. Now, the scriptures have stood the test of time. The knowledge in the scriptures is timeless. It's a timeless wisdom. If we compare the Vedic knowledge with material knowledge is not timeless. So material knowledge, it changes. Material knowledge, it changes from time to time. Can somebody give an example? Example for material knowledge to prove that it changes from time to time.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Neha.
In one of the books, I read this example where before one of the scientists mentioned that the earth was flat.
Yeah.
Then later on, the same science said that earth is round.
Round.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
spherical in shape.
Yeah, very good. So that scientist who initially said Earth was flat, huh? And then he also said that don't go too far. You might fall. So, and later on, what happened? After several hundreds of years, then new scientists came to a conclusion that Earth is not flat, but it's round. It's like a globe. And what do Vedas reveal about Earth? What do Vedas call the Earth? There's a specific term for Earth in Vedas. Bhugol. That means
No, the
that means it's an object which is in round shape.
ಆವಾಗ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದ ಅವ್ರಿಬ್ರು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ತೆಗಿಲಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay, so Vedas have concluded that the Earth is in round shape. It's a globe. It's Bhugol. Millions of years ago. Okay, so that is one proof that Vedas, the knowledge given in the Vedas is timeless. It does not change from time to time. And we see in the pharmaceutical industry also, right? They come up with some medicine for some disease, and after certain time they recall that medicine, saying that it no longer works. Rather, it is dangerous to take this medicine. So stop taking this medicine. So they recall. Not only medicine but several products they recall. Okay.
Peanut allergies.
Hmm?
Peanut allergies is example.
Allergies.
In 90s, they said in order to all children should not eat peanuts.
Oh.
And then almost 20% of US kids got peanut allergies.
Yeah.
And then they changed about 4-5 years back,
Yeah.
saying start introducing peanuts like a little bit early.
Yeah.
So medical knowledge also like they
Keeps changing.
keep changing.
Yeah. So if you ask many doctors and cardiologists, they say that don't eat ghee. Okay. But what's the correct thing? So this was the recommendation a few years ago. Now later on, everybody is saying eat ghee. In fact, ghee is good. Ghee is good for health. In fact, you should cook all your recipes in ghee only. Don't use oil at all. Okay, the tadka or everything you do in ghee only. Even the frying also can be done in ghee. All the sweets can be made in ghee. Okay, because the oil, it takes 350 degrees to reach boiling temperature, whereas ghee in 50-60 degrees only it reaches boiling temperature. So when you heat oil under 350 degrees temperature, it decomposes into small molecules which are very harmful to the body. They become free radicals in the body, and free radicals are very dangerous. They can become cancer cells. Now to kill the free radicals, you need antioxidants. If you eat beetroot or stuff like that, which are rich in antioxidants, they can go and pair with the free radicals and reduce the harmful effect. Whereas if you use ghee, which can reach boiling temperature in 50 or 60 degrees, it's not so harmful. Rather, it can generate good cholesterol. Okay, so this is how the science in various fields changes from time to time, whereas the knowledge given in Vedas is timeless. Okay. So, in fact, Vedas are considered the sound incarnation of God Himself. Okay? So, we all know that Vyasadeva or Vedavyas is the one who has written the Vedas. And now, who is Vedavyas? Who is Vyasadeva?
The incarnation
incarnation of Mahavishnu himself. One of the primary 26 avatars of Mahavishnu, Vyasadeva is one of them. Okay? Huh? Krishna Dvaipayana. Yeah. So Vedas are considered to be apaurisheya. They are not written by a Purusha like us. Okay, Purusha means a human. Okay, Vedas are not written by a human being like us, but they are written by Vyasadeva or Vedavyas, who is an incarnation of Mahavishnu himself. Now, what do these Vedas teach us about? Vedas teach us about the matter, spirit, uh, the controller of both matter and spirit. So basically, any scripture, Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata, any scripture talks about 5 subject matters: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Ishvara is God, Jiva is the soul, Prakriti, the material nature, Kala, time, Karma, action or activity, good karma, bad karma, and all those things. So you take any scripture, these are the 5 subject matters of every scripture. Okay? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Now, this is a diagram that shows the anatomy of Vedic knowledge. It's a little bit complicated. Don't worry too much. But the Vedic knowledge can be primarily classified into 2 categories: Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means, what's the meaning of the Sanskrit word Shruti? Hear. Okay? I thought when you are scratching your ear, I thought you are saying that's the answer. Shruti. Okay? Somebody has a name Shruti, right? We have heard this name Shruti. That means hearing. Smriti means remembrance. Remembrance. So Vedic knowledge is classified into 2 categories: Shruti and Smriti. So Smriti category of Vedas is revealed uh, uh, by the self-realized people, and uh, and the disciples, they just remember it. They don't need pen and paper or anything to write and remember. They just remember by hearing. Okay. Now under the Shruti category, there are Vedas, the 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. There are Upavedas, Vedangas, and within the Vedas there are Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads. There are 108 Upanishads, 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads. Vedas are big, Upanishads are small. For example, Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad is a very small book. It has only 20 or 30 slokas. Okay? But they teach the entire essence of the Vedas. In just 20-30 slokas, they teach the essence of the Vedas. So Upanishads are small compared to Vedas. Vedas are big, gigantic. Vedangas, Kalpa, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Nirukti, Chandas, Jyotisha. Vedangas help us to learn the Vedas. For example, Vyakarana is grammar. Nirukti, etymology. Etymology means how to interpret a particular word in a particular context. Sanskrit is so rich that each word has 100 different meanings. So, for example, the word Atma. What's the meaning of the word Atma? Soul. That's the general understanding that we have, right? But in Bhagavad Gita, there is a chapter, chapter 6. The chapter title is Atma Samyamya Yoga. Atma Samyamya Yoga. Samyamya means control. Now, what is controlling the soul? So, in that particular context, it's not soul. The word Atma does not refer to soul, but it refers to mind. In that particular context, Atma Samyamya Yoga, it refers to mind, controlling the mind. Atma Samyamya Yoga. Okay, and in some context, the word Atma can also refer to God. Okay, generally Paramatma means God, but in some particular context, the word Atma can also refer to God. And another word, Brahma. So what's the meaning of the word Brahma?
Great.
Brahma means Brahmadev, right? The one with three heads or four heads, the one who has created all of us. That's the understanding. Okay? But the same word Brahma has multiple meanings. Brahma means Brahma Padardha. Have you heard this word Brahma Padardha? Brahma Padardha. There is Brahma and Parabrahma. All the jivas are considered Brahma, and God is known as Parabrahma. Okay? So like that, same word has different meanings based on the context. That is Nirukti, etymology. There is Chandas, meter. Meter or Chandas talks about how to sing the shlokas in a particular melody. There are different chandas or meters, like Vasanta Tilaka, Shardula Vikridita meter, Malini meter, Anushtup Chanda, yes, Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Sahasranama, they are in Anushtup Chanda meter. So given a particular shloka, how do you recite that? Okay, it's not like you just read the shloka like Hindi or English. Okay, that will be just reading. It's not called recitation. But the proper recitation involves knowing how many syllables are there in the line and how many lagus and gurus are there. Lagu means short vowel, guru means long vowel. And how many ganas are there? Gana is a group of lagu and guru. How many ganas are there? So depending on all these, you know the particular meter. Okay, if there are 19 syllables, then it is Shardula Vikriditam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stuvanti Divyaistava Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadair Gayanti Yat Samaga Dhyanavastita Tatgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na vidhu sura suragana devaya tasmai nama. So this is 1 meter, Shardula Vikridita meter. There are 19 syllables in that, and the lagu and gana, they are in particular pattern. Okay, sorry, lagu and gurus are in particular pattern. So depending on this, you know which meter to sing. The simple Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Sahasranama, Anushtup Chanda, 8 syllables. Okay, each shloka has 8 syllables. Each line has 8 syllables. Yasya smarana matrena janma samsara bandhanat vimuchyate namas tasmai Vishnave Prabha Vishnave Om Namo Vishnave Prabha Vishnave Sri Vaishampayana Uvacha. So like that, it's a different meter. So all the Vedangas that you see in this slide here, right? Kalpa, Shiksha, Vakarana, Nirukti, Chandas, Jyotisa, they help us learn about the Vedas, how to read and interpret Vedas basically. Okay. Next, Smriti. The Smriti category composed by sages. There are 18 major Smriti Shastras based on the modes and 18 minor. Anyway, you don't need to, it's so complicated. So let's not go into these details, okay? It'll be too much. There's Vedanta, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and so on. Okay? Gita actually falls under both categories. It's a Smriti and Shruti, both. Yeah.
Itihasas are part of Smriti.
Smriti, yeah. Like Valmiki, how did he write Ramayana? He did not hear from somebody, right? That is Shruti. Shruti means you hear somebody and you write it. That is Shruti. Whereas Valmiki, he was able to write Ramayana based on what he saw in his meditation and what he remembered. That is Itihasa Purana. And he wrote exactly the way how Ramayana happened. Okay? Now, how do we know Vedas are true? Yeah.
Like we know, like from thousands of years, our scriptures, lot of things were destroyed.
Yeah.
So how do we confirm and how do we trace and say like these are the authenticated version of Vedas?
Vedas.
How to make sure?
Yeah. Very good. That's a good question. Or how do we know if a particular guru is genuine or not? See, the best method to learn Vedas is by approaching a guru, bona fide guru. So as Krishna said, Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnana jnaninas.
Because those Vedas, they were written thousands of years.
Yeah. No, I'm going to explain you. So Krishna said, learn the Vedas by approaching a bona fide guru. But how do I know if that guru is genuine or not? And how do I know this particular scripture coming from Vedas is genuine or not? So that's why there is a fourth pramana known as Anubhava pramana. So we have Pratyaksha pramana, Anumana pramana, Shabda pramana, and then the fourth one is Anubhava pramana, experiential knowledge. Okay? So the first two methods are anyway not perfect. They have some limitations. The sense perception and the speculative method of acquiring knowledge, the Pratyaksha Praman and Anumana Praman, they are imperfect. Now Shabda Praman, it is the perfect method to acquire knowledge. But how do I know whether a particular scripture or particular guru is correct or not? That you can verify with your experience. You start accepting some guru as your guru, and then start hearing from him, and very soon you will know whether it is making sense to you or not. Very soon you will know whether that particular guru, whatever he is teaching, is it correct or not. So when you hear and you apply in your daily life, you practice that, based on the results you can judge. Phalena parikshayate. So based on the results, you can judge. So that is Anubhava Pramana. And Krishna himself said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, shloka 2, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Krishna said, Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam. O Arjuna, you can perceive this knowledge by your own self-realization. You can perceive this knowledge by your own self-realization. So Anubhava Praman, by our own experience, we can verify whether a particular scripture, a particular guru is correct or not. Yeah. Okay, does that answer? Yeah. But the problem in the society is, because there were some cheaters, there are so many bogus gurus in India. So people have lost faith in the scriptures and in gurus because there are many cheaters. Now they don't have time to figure out who is genuine or not. So what they have done, they have stopped following the Vedas. They have stopped reading the scriptures. They have stopped coming to the temples. Many people, they don't even come to the temples. But that's not correct. The medicine is never wrong. The doctor can be wrong, but the medicine is never wrong. Okay, medicine that was discovered, and it was whatever medicine created by someone, that is never wrong. But the doctors who are applying that medicine or who are using that medicine to treat different diseases, the doctor can be wrong. Okay, the doctor is not knowledgeable, then he can give wrong medicine, or out of cheating propensity, as we discussed in the first method of acquiring knowledge, because everyone has cheating propensity, they want to make money, so they can cheat by giving wrong medicine. But the medicine itself is not wrong. Okay, so we should not lose faith in the scriptures and Vedas. We should give an attempt. Okay, we should give a chance to Vedas. Now, in our life, we have given chance to many things. We have given chance to science. We have given chance to our own attempts to learn something. But now, let's give a chance to Vedas. Let's give a chance to Bhagavad Gita to see what Bhagavad Gita is teaching to us, how it is helpful in our life. Okay. Yes.
Bhagavad Gita scriptures are all kind of close to Indians. It's close to Indians.
It's close to Indians.
Yeah.
Okay.
We own
Yes.
our ancestry owns this. And
Yeah.
We
We are fortunate.
easier access to it. But we only constitute like 10-15% of the entire population of this world.
Yeah.
Why is it that the remaining folks, or do they have like an equivalent of this? And
so, as this slide says here, universal knowledge. Okay, the knowledge given in the Vedas is universal. Universal means it's applicable to everyone. It's applicable at all times. Okay, it was applicable in the past. It's applicable now. It will be applicable in the future. Okay, 10,000 years from now, 100,000 years from now, or millions of years down the lane, same knowledge. This knowledge will not change. Okay, there is no Bhagavad Gita, 2.0 or 3.0, something like that. It's only one version of Bhagavad Gita, which is timeless, which has timeless wisdom, and it's universal. It's applicable to Indians, Americans, Chinese, Russians, Japanese, everybody. Okay, it's not sectarian knowledge. It's applicable to all human beings. Now, why it is close to Indians? It is our fortune to be an Indian. It is our fortune to take birth on Bharat Bhumi. As they say, right, Bharat Bhumi is Punya Bhumi or Karma Bhumi. So there are so many avatars that took place in Bharat Bhumi. There are so many saintly people who took birth in Bharat Bhumi. And it's our great fortune to take birth in the same land where God himself has took several avatars, and the same place where so many saintly people have taken their birth. It's our great fortune. And why others took birth in different parts of the world, and why these Vedas or Bhagavad Gita is not so accessible to them? See, in the recent times it is accessible, especially Srila Prabhupada, when he came to Western countries in 1965, he took his instruction of his guru that you are good at English, why don't you go to Western countries and preach Lord Krishna's message? The agenda behind that was, if you preach Bhagavad Gita to one Western person, looking at that one Western person, 10 Indians will learn Bhagavad Gita. That was the intention. Okay, and that's what he did. Prabhupada, he came to America in 1965. He did not know anyone. He did not have any money, but he was very patient. He struggled so much in the initial few years, but within 10 years, he circumambulated the world 10 times. He established 108 temples, and then he wrote so many books, commentary on Bhagavad Gita, commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, commentary on Ishopanishad, and so many books. And now we are seeing so many Americans and Russians, Japanese, Chinese, they are also reading Bhagavad Gita. Now this is a proof that Bhagavad Gita knowledge or Vedas, the knowledge given in the Vedas is universal. It's applicable to everyone. The fact that it is not accessible to other parts of the world as much as it is accessible to Indians, it is based on their karma. Based on their karma. So the Western world, they desired for material comforts. That's why God has given material comforts and they kept them away from Vedas. Because Vedas, they do not talk about material comforts, right? For example, Bhagavad Gita, it does not teach about material comforts. Nowhere in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, okay, you recite these shlokas or you do this puja and you will get material benefits. Okay? Krishna only talked about karma yoga. How to perform your duty and connect with God. Krishna taught the jnana yoga. How to cultivate knowledge and connect with God. Bhakti yoga. How to perform devotional service and connect with God. Ashtanga yoga. How to perform the eight-limbed process Ashtanga yoga and connect with God. So everything to connect with God only and not for our own benefit. Whereas the people in different Western parts of the world, they decide for material comforts. That's why Krishna has given forgetfulness of the Vedas. Okay? If you want to do some sinful activity, you should be forgetful of God. If you remember God, you cannot be involved in a sinful activity. For example, a thief, when he comes to somebody's home to steal something, if he remembers God, if he remembers Vishnu Sahasranama, can he steal anything from the home? No. He should be forgetful of God. Only then he can steal something. And that's how the Lord made the arrangement for those people who want to engage in sinful activities for their own enjoyment. That's why we see, right, in the Western world, it's mostly sinful activities. Eat, drink, sleep, and be merry. Las Vegas is known as sinful city. So people who wanted, material comforts and who want to engage in sinful activities, God has given an arrangement for them. They have given forgetfulness of the Vedas and they have kept them aside or away from God and scriptures. Whereas Indians, we are so fortunate. That's why the Lord appeared in that land and all the saintly people appeared in that land and the scriptures are so easily accessible to us. But what's the problem with that? The problem is when something is so easily accessible, you take it for granted. You take it for granted. We consider that as a cheap object. We consider to follow Vedas is very cheap. Cow dung is antiseptic. We hear from Vedas. Now, many people consider that as a cheap activity. Even to touch cow dung, people are hesitant to touch cow dung. But I have seen many people who put their palm while cow is urinating and they just drink. It's so pure. Cow urine, cow dung, it's so pure. But many people, majority of the people, they hesitate. They are very hesitant to touch cow dung. But Vedas are declaring that cow dung is antiseptic. It's pure.
So many medicines are prepared nowadays.
Yes. Yeah, some medicines are prepared and cow dung is also allowed to be used in the worship. When you are doing a home on fire sacrifice, you can use cow dung. In front of the house, we used to do that sprinkling with cow dung water. Yeah. So that's what happens whenever you are so close to somebody or something, you take it for granted. Okay, you don't appreciate the value of it. That's why Prabhupada first he tried in India only. Before coming to America, Prabhupada tried in India only. He tried for several years. He tried for 20, 30 years he tried teaching Bhagavad Gita to Indians. He did not succeed. He succeeded, but to a very small scale. He did not succeed as much as he wanted to do. That's why he came to America. And now you see millions of people practicing this Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Is that clear? Yeah. So applies to everyone, applicable at all times, in all circumstances, and never changes, has stood the test of time. Written 5,000 years ago, or at least Bhagavad Gita, spoken by Lord Shri Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra 5,000 years ago. And Srimad Bhagavatam, was written by Veda Vyas or Vyasadev. Now, everything that we see in today's world, everything that the science is telling, it was already there in the Vedas. The aeronautical science. There is Vimana Shastra. It was already there. Pushpaka Vimana, right? What can be a greater science than, what can be a greater aeronautical science than Pushpaka Vimana? Pushpaka Vimana, it always has space for, no matter how many people are there, it always has place for one more new person. The entire science of aeronautics was given in Vimana Shastra long time ago. Yogasanas, pranayama. Now, when you give chance to Vedas, when you give chance to any of these things and try it out, then you will know the benefits. For example, yoga. So, until 50 or 100 years ago, yoga was not so popular. Because Indians, it's very easily available to them. They took it for granted. They considered it as a cheap thing. That they thought going to gym and working out with the dumbbells and all those things is very fancy, and that's the thing to do. But now when Westerners started following yoga, then Indians are looking at them, oh, wait a minute, that belongs to us. And Western people are following that. That means I'm missing something. Let me also follow that and try it out at least. So, astrology, prediction of the future. Okay, there is Natya Shastra, Sangeeta Shastra, so many things, architecture, Vastu Shastra is there, psychology, astronomy, everything was there in the Vedas. Hare Krishna. Okay, sure, no problem. Yeah, see you next week. Astronomy, astrology, etiquette and behavior, everything. Art, medicine, Ayurveda. So Vedas not only deal with the matter, but they also deal with subtle matter. Vedas deal with gross matter, which is made up of Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And Vedas also deal with subtle matter, that is mind, intelligence and false ego. So we all have gross body and subtle body. Gross body is what you see, okay, which is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, the Pancha Mahabhuta. And then inside us there is subtle body also. Subtle body consists of mind, intelligence and false ego. So whenever the soul leaves this gross body and goes to the next body, new body in the next life, the subtle body also travels along with the soul. Subtle body is always with the soul. The mind, intelligence and false ego, these faculties, they're always with the soul. So that's why whatever impressions that we carry in this life, they go with the subtle body. Anything that you see, the mind takes an impression of it and stores in the repository. And all these impressions will be carried to the next life via the subtle body. Okay. How to attain mystic powers, siddhis. The yogis who perform Ashtanga Yoga following the 8 limbs, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and then samadhi. So these 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, when they achieve perfection, they can attain mystic powers, siddhis. They can do variety of things. Okay, when they achieve mystic powers. This was all given in the Vedas. So much more powerful than what science is, teaching us. Vedas teach about soul, reincarnation, karma, liberation, moksha. Vedas have elaborative description of spiritual world. Now going back to your previous question, right? The people in the other parts of the world, do they have something similar to what we have, like Vedas? Do they also have some scriptures like what we have? Yes, the Bible and Quran, they are scriptures, but they are not as rich as our Vedas. They have limited description of who God is. They have limited description of what spiritual world looks like. But Vedas have elaborative information about God and the spiritual world. Okay, they're so rich. And another unfortunate thing is those scriptures, Bible or Quran, whatever you see now, only 1% of is authentic. Okay, so when Jesus said, "Thou shalt not kill," now how they interpreted in today's version of Bible now? "Thou shalt not kill" means they are interpreting it as you should not kill another human being. You should not kill another human being. But you can kill other animals. That's their understanding. Jesus said, "Thou shalt not kill" means you should not kill any living being. But the today's version of Bible interprets as you should not kill human being, but you can kill any other animal. So that's why all the Christians, even though they are reading Bible, even though they are, they go to church and all these things, but they all eat meat. Okay, almost everyone.
Pandavas used to eat meat. Pandavas also used to eat meat.
Pandavas used to eat meat, not every day. Yeah, when they were in forest, when there was no food available, even Lord Ram ate meat. And many Kshatriyas ate meat. Not only Kshatriyas, even Brahmanas ate meat. So Vedas have a provision under particular circumstances, meat eating is allowed. It's not like meat eating should be practiced just for taste. Just because I like the taste, I can eat meat every day. So rather, Vedas have provision which facilitate meat eating under some circumstances. If there is no other food available to eat, yes, you can kill an animal and eat meat. Kshatriyas, they were allowed to hunt and kill the animals because they need to practice how to hunt and kill animals so that they can become perfect in these martial arts or the archery skills, so that they are prepared for a battle. So it's a practice for the Kshatriyas, how to learn these archery skills or martial arts. Okay. So it was allowed for almost all Kshatriyas, killing and eating meat, allowed for almost all Kshatriyas. And for some Brahmanas also it is allowed. And for others who like to eat meat every day, there is a prescribed procedure in the Vedas using which they can eat meat. So the procedure is, they have to perform some puja. And then, before killing the animal, see in the olden days, if somebody has to eat meat, not only olden days, right? Even our parents' time and our grandparents' time, if somebody wants to eat chicken, what was the practice? Huh? No, no, no. I'm talking about the general provision that's available to eat chicken. They just bring a hen and then kill and wash it and then cook and eat. There was no safe way or there was no store available to sell chicken or other types of meat. So they used to kill by themselves. So in the Vedas, the procedure given was, if somebody is so addicted to eating meat, the procedure given is, yes, they can eat meat, but before they kill an animal, they have to perform some puja and recite some mantras. The mantras say that, "O animal, in this lifetime, I'm killing you and eating you. In the next life, you become a human being and I'll become this animal. So you will kill me and you will eat me." So this is the mantra they have to say. Yeah, this is the mantra they have to say. And they used to recite this mantra, kill the animal and eat. But how many times they can do that? They can do that first time, second time, third time, 10th time. But after 100 times, they start feeling guilty. Oh, now I am killing this animal for my taste to satisfy my tongue, but I am saying that, oh animal, I'll become an animal in the next life and you become a human being and you kill me. Now I know the pain, how much suffering will it be if somebody kills me. So that person starts thinking in that line. So that's why Vedas have a procedure to kill animals and eat in that way.
Like what you're planting. We are killing plants. They also have like
Yeah. So plants. So what's the time now? 7:43. Okay. How many more slides do I have? Okay, I think I'm almost done. So let me finish this and then I'll come back to your question. Okay. So our own experience. How do we know Vedas are true or not? Our own experience. Anubhava Praman. That's the fourth Praman that I mentioned, right? Anubhava Praman. By following process prescribed in the Vedas, we get realization. And we can verify whether it is true or not. Cow dung is antiseptic. So how do we know whether it is antiseptic or not? You bring some cow dung, sprinkle in the water, mix with water and sprinkle in front of your house, and you'll obviously see no insects, no mosquitoes, nothing is coming near the house. Okay, so our own experience tells us that the Vedas contain authentic knowledge. What kind of realization do Vedas give? Spiritual realization, freedom from lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, the Arishad Vargas, and attain that long-lasting happiness, bliss, and peace. Evidenced by authorities. Many saintly persons in the past achieved perfection by following Vedas. Now we have so many acharyas in our parampara. If you take Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya or Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, so in every Sampradaya, there are prominent acharyas who have followed this procedure or this process of Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and they have achieved self-realization. Okay, so by looking at these saintly people who have seen the truth, we can get convinced that Vedas contain real knowledge. So these are the prominent acharyas of 4 sampradayas. Sri Ramanujacharya, prominent acharya for Sri Sampradaya. Sri Madhvacharya, he is the prominent acharya for Madhva Sampradaya. And Nimbarkacharya, prominent acharya for Nimbarkacharya and Vishnu Swami. There are two other sampradayas. Kumara Sampradaya. Kumara Sampradaya is Nimbarkacharya, and Vishnu Swami is for uh, Shiva Sampradaya. Okay. So these are the sannyasis or saintly people who have achieved sense control, who are very compassionate to teach this knowledge to everyone. You know, we all know the story of Sri Ramanujacharya, how his guru instructed him not to tell the mantra to anyone because he will go to hell. Now Sri Ramanujacharya, he was so compassionate of everyone that he said, okay, I am only one person who will go to hell, but if I tell this mantra to everyone, everyone will chant this mantra and go to spiritual world. So they are so compassionate to impart this knowledge to everyone. Prabhupada also, right? Srila Prabhupada, because he was so compassionate, he underwent so many struggles when he came to America. He underwent so many struggles, but still he imparted this knowledge to millions of people. They are trustworthy. So Acharya is that person who teaches what he practices, or is the one who practices what he teaches. Whatever comes from his mouth, that's what he practices. Acharya is one who, what is Acharana? Acharana means implementation, practice. Whatever he speaks, he practices. Okay, there was a nice story of a saintly person. One mother brings her son to a saintly person to help with some disease actually. Okay, now this saintly, I think it was let's say diabetes. Okay, to treat diabetes. Now the saintly person, he wanted to give a suggestion that stop eating sweets or stop eating sugar. But instead of giving that solution immediately, so he asked the mother to come back after 6 months. Now after 6 months, the mother brings the same child to the saintly person. The saintly person simply gives a solution that, okay, ask him to stop eating sweets. Now the mother said, oh Swamiji, you could have given this solution on day 1 itself, right? Why did you ask me to wait for 6 months? Now the saintly person replied saying that, because I have been eating sweets. Now I cannot give that instruction to your son unless I stop eating sweets by myself. So first he wanted to implement that by himself and then give that solution to others. So they are trustworthy. Whatever they speak, they follow. Okay. Self-realized, they have seen the truth. Okay. Why different scriptures? Okay. There are different Puranas, different Vedas. Even though there are different scriptures, but the essence is same. There is Bible, Quran. God is one, the source of everything. Obedience to the laws of God, service to God, love of God, return to the kingdom of God. Not only that, chanting the holy name of the God. It's there in all the scriptures. It's there in Bible. It's there in Quran. It's there in Bhagavad Gita. All the scriptures, they talk about chanting the holy name of the Lord. Okay, glorification of holy name. 99 names of Allah, 1000 names of Vishnu. Hallowed thy name, Bible. So now there are so many Vedas and so many scriptures, but the important ones for Kali Yuga are Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita has the principles. 700 slokas, Lord Krishna has given principles, what to do, what not to do. Now we also need to know, right, what happens when we do those things and what happens when we don't follow the don'ts. Okay, so that's why there is a journal. Srimad Bhagavatam is a law journal which has case studies of people who have followed the do's and avoided don'ts. What happens if you follow the do's and avoid the don'ts? how they became happy by following the principles in Bhagavad Gita. That is all given in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many stories. Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. There are several stories of Indra. You know, so many stories. Okay, Gajendra Moksham. So many things in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Now this is the end of this topic 2. Does God exist? Okay. So now coming back to your question, right? So we kill plants to eat vegetables and fruits and so on. Now plants also have life, that's true. But other than plants, what is our other alternative? What can we eat? What else can we eat? And also when you are eating something from the plants, right? The traditional practice is we don't kill the plant. We only plug the vegetables or fruits nicely without causing much damage to the plant itself. In the modern days, the way they are growing the plants is also so horrible, and the way they are harvesting the plants is also so horrible. They use machines to harvest, and when you are using machines, the machine doesn't have any discrimination, right? Whether the plant has life or not. Is it okay to only plug the vegetables, or should I completely uproot the plant from the roots, from the bottom of the plant itself? The machine doesn't have any discrimination like this. But if a human is harvesting something from the plants, they know only to plug the plant in the fruits and vegetables. That's the traditional practice. We generally do not plug the entire plant or the tree itself. So that's why we are not actually killing the plants. Okay? General practice is we are actually not killing the trees. But in the modern time, what else can we do? What other option do we have? Can we do farming now? In Seattle, can we do farming? Yes, 3 or 4 months we can do farming. In our backyard also we can grow some vegetables so that we can survive. But what about the other 7 or 8 months? Nothing grows. That's why we have to rely on the industries that are producing these fruits and vegetables. And we know very well that they're causing so much damage to the plants and trees. We don't have another alternative. That's why this is the best bargain that we have. This is the best of the worst bargains that we have. So the least damaging. Okay, let me put it that way. The least damaging. Yeah. And Krishna himself said in Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Krishna asked to offer 4 things. Patram, leaves; pushpam, flowers; phalam, fruits; toyam, water. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. If you offer these 4 things with love and devotion, I will accept. Bhakti is so simple actually. Sometimes when we come and attend classes like this and try to understand Bhagavad Gita, try to read scriptures like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavat, sometimes we get a feeling that, oh, these are so complex, I have to spend a lot of time. Do I have so much of time to do bhakti? Let me avoid it. Let me rather just focus on my material life, be happy. I'll go to Amazon and Microsoft and just earn a lot of money and then be happy. Why do I have to spend all this time? I don't need to scratch my head to figure out what is what here. But it's so simple. As Krishna said, it's as simple as simply offering fruit, water, leaf and vegetable to him. Now, if that is not allowed, Krishna wouldn't have said so. If eating leaves and vegetables or fruits is not allowed, Krishna wouldn't have said so. Now Krishna himself is giving license. Now Krishna did not say, offer meat to him, meat to me. So only patram pushpam phalam toyam. Okay? So we try to do as much least damage as possible. Yeah.
The other thing is, many of these plants,
Yeah.
they want you to pluck their fruits and flowers for the sake of their own like propagation. Because in the process of like eating the fruit or flower, the seeds get like dispersed, and that is
Yeah.
their way of like propagation.
Yeah.
So the plants are designed in a way to encourage you to go and like pluck them.
Yes.
Right, but animal meat is not like that. Animals don't
Yeah.
create meat to propagate themselves or to encourage others to like come.
Yeah. Even if animals propagate, animals also have the desire to propagate and reproduce, but they don't have a desire to be consumed. Whereas trees, they are more happier when we eat fruits. Remember we discussed in first topic, search for happiness. You know, this concept of happiness we can learn from nature. Trees that grow, that produce flowers and vegetables and fruits, they never eat their own fruits. Rivers that are flowing, they never drink their own water. They are meant for others to be consumed. They are meant for others. The fruits and vegetables, they are meant for others. Similarly, cow milk. I heard that cow is the only animal that has 4 nipples. To be able to produce enough milk, not only for the calf, but also for others to consume. So it's there in the nature itself. This design is there in the nature itself. Yeah.
So if the calf eats, drinks all the milk from
Yeah.
the cow, that's not good for the calf also.
Yes.
So,
That's why the cowherd boys, after the calf drinks a little bit of milk, then they pull the calf away from the cow. Yeah. Then the rest of the milk to be consumed by others. Because the vegans, they also have this argument that the cow, the milk is meant for the children of the cow. How can you drink the milk? You know, if you are drinking the milk, you are leaving the calves bereft of cow's milk, the mother's milk. No, we are not leaving the calves bereft of mother's milk. They are having sufficient quantity of milk of their quota, and then we are consuming only the rest of the milk. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's almost 8 o'clock. We can go into the temple hall for the Aarti, and next week we'll start third topic, that is, who am I? Now this topic, does God exist? We understood about who is God, definition of God, and then the process to understand God. And next session will be who am I? Knowledge of the soul. Okay? Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna. We'll see you next week.